I took this photograph in November 2006 when rumours were circulating that these 4 properties were being earmarked for redevelopment. I was rather hoping that they could be saved and smartened up rather than being demolished. After all, the roofs looked to be in fairly sound condition and the brickwork was in fairly decent nick. Of course I recognised that the shop fronts were looking shabby at best, but as a whole the group were not beyond salvation. I admit that my interest was sparked or based on the fact that I had some old photographs of these shops. I had not been a patron of any of these businesses. The Golden Cup, close to the corner of Colley Lane, had been trading here for some years. I was driving past once when I spotted a work colleague, a chap who was carrying a few extra kilograms, it has to be said. He was emerging with a huge bag of food in a carrier bag. He was living alone at the time, so I couldn't help wondering how many calories he was carting off home to consume that evening. This place used to have a poster in the window advertising a belly buster for 1 person. Working in a place that had plenty of merciless piss-taking culture, my witnessing his guilty pleasure would of course provide some good banter the following morning. I have never been a great fan of Chinese food, perhaps due to being scarred in my youth. I grew up in a black country home where the meals were very traditional: faggots and chips, belly draft, no doubt with chips, cottage pie, liver and onions. Yuck, all a bit much really, as I've been a veggie for most of my adult life. The whole world is on a platter now in the supermarkets, but back then Fray Bentos was about as exotic as it got. With brown sauce, of course. It would be some years before the black country would hear of such words as balti, chorizo or pizza. I once went to the market at Cradley Heath in search of a courgette some years ago and was advised by the proprietor that he had cucumbers. Anyway, when I started work and was earning a bit of money, I thought I would treat myself to a Chinese takeaway. There used to be an outlet on the high street in Cradley Heath, so after spending what seemed like an hour figuring out the menu, I trotted off home with my bag of food. When I walked into the kitchen, my mother, on noticing my white carrier bag, asked me what the hell was that. She was not having any of that foreign muck in her house. As a result, I had to eat my dinner in the yard. I'm going way off topic here, so I'll get a grip and talk about this row of shops. Dudley Council must have slapped compulsory purchase orders on the properties that had deteriorated drastically. They can be seen here in 2021, not too long before they were demolished, the council placing a banner announcing an exciting new development. In 2026, the site remained vacant as the cash-strapped local authority had seemingly put the project on the back burner. The same row of shops can be seen on the left in this photograph taken at the end of the Edwardian period. The properties were little more than a decade old by this time. The photographer was pointing the camera lens along Colley Gate, which to me at least refers to this stretch of road from the park to Windmill Hill, not the whole neighbourhood. Many call the area Colley Gate rather than the more correct Cradley. If you are not from this region, I should stress that this place was once part of Worcestershire, the River Stour dividing it from Cradley Heath in Staffordshire. Here are 3 of the 4 shops on the row, along with the shopkeepers and local residents. The headlines on the newspaper board suggest that the image was captured in May 1910, during the visit of the German Emperor to London. Many of the picture postcards of Cradley were sold from the shop in the centre of this photograph. The business was run by Arthur Samuel Hickman, a newsagent, stationer and tobacconist. That is probably his wife Agnes on the doorstep of the shop. At this time their son Francis was a school teacher. To the left of the photograph is the general stores run by the Bird family. Alfred Bird also worked as a maltster at Oliver's Brewery next to the Talbot Hotel just across the other side of Colley Lane. Stood in the doorway of the shop, the woman with her hands on her hips is probably his wife Elizabeth. The younger woman wearing spectacles could be one of their 3 daughters. Out of the picture, the shop next door on the corner of Colley Lane, the aforementioned Golden Cup in later years, was a butcher's shop run by William Mole. With the shops open for trading, it is unlikely that the photograph was taken on a Sunday, but the youngsters are seemingly in their best togs and demonstrate a little affluence. No scruffy urchins here. In this photograph, taken around 1920, we see the shop once run by the Hickman family in the centre of the image. The Hickmans by this point had moved a few metres along the road to number 116, a property that would remain a newsagent's for decades. Located close to the bus stop, many people will remember it as Stars, though in the 2020s it became a Nisa convenience store. The shop can be seen to the right of the photograph. In this image, captured just after the First World War, the shop run by the Hickmans had been taken over by Annie Lavender, who concentrated on the confectionery side of things. I suspect that she is the woman in front of the entrance addressing a teenage girl. The premises next door on the right had become an office for the London Joint City and Midland Bank Limited, with John James as manager. It was an occasional branch office and only open for a few hours on Tuesday and Friday. The Bird family was still at the shop to the left of the picture. The people outside have a suitcase, so I assume they are awaiting transport for a holiday. Just the one suitcase for 4. Pretty normal in those times, when folks didn't have wardrobes heaving with clobber. The butcher's shop, run by William Mole, had gone by this time, and the corner shop, out of the picture, was occupied by the milliner Lucy Farmer. To the right is a building once known as Aston Villas, along with the Hickman's Emporium. I'll discuss that part of Colley Gate close to Maple Tree Lane in another video. Thanks for viewing and listening to my blurb. You can post your comments below, particularly if they will enhance the information for other viewers. You can also click on the subscribe button to receive a message when a new video is uploaded.